Alright, thought we were done with the Arktos, but had a few things I gotta take care of. In some of the videos, if you look back, you'll see like a skip as I'm trying to get up some obstacles. I thought that I had a broken tooth maybe in my transmission from when I had my endpoints for the 2-speed not set correctly. I kept waiting for gears to come in stock, but they still have not been in stock, and I finally just decided to open it up and see what's actually wrong. It ended up actually being, from what I can tell, from my endpoints, I didn't find any broken teeth. From my endpoints not being set correctly, the shift fork, or whatever this part's called, the slider and shifter, they call it, these 3 pieces here are like rounded over on the low end side. I tried flipping it to the high end side and it seemed to get better with low. So I think it's just because this is all rounded over, because it's going to have a pretty 90 edge on each piece, and it's like kind of like rounded all the way around. And that's just like when I first put in a while ago. I think it was when I had the Hobby Mini 16 and my endpoints weren't set. I was trying to not burn out the servo, so I was trying to set them lightly and not, go too far, burn out the servo, and have issues. So they were just not set high enough. So they were rounding over a lot, skipping, and now it's just doing it all the time. Even if I set that endpoint like crazy, like where it's gonna burn out the servo, it still skips. But there's no broken teeth in the whole transmission. So I did that. I got these. I also bought a new shift rod because mine's kind of bent from taking it in and out so many times. I ended up getting the aluminum transmission gearbox. I also put this in the rock van, and it made everything so much more solid. Tightening everything up is just there. You don't have any issues. I also bought the skid plate, and it's like the 2-speed servo holder, but mine has been in and out so many times. The holes are kind of questionable. I ended up putting, they were stock or 1.6. I ended up putting 2 millimeters in there the last time I was in that, and it got better. But I figured if I'm going to be in there doing all this, it was only like $3, and I think all my shift rods are fine. But I just bought, it was only a couple bucks, the shafts that go inside the transmission. I just want to give it a refresh. I really would have put new gears in too and just had a whole new transmission to put in, but they've been out of stock for months and they're still not in stock, and you can't buy a whole transmission. And I said, whatever, I'll just do what I can. So the easiest way to take out this transmission when you're going to work on something this much, instead of just doing the motor, first of all, you'd have to take your bed off if you had a regular bed. I'm going to take off the plate, 1, 2, 3 on each side. To get it out without bending this rod, I usually take out the 4 bolts to hold the plate here, which would be that one right there. And that holds the shifter servo. And then the 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts to take the skid plate out for me. But if you're not going to do that and you're just taking the transmission out, just 1, 2, 3 bolts, and you can lift the whole thing out once you disconnect the motor. You can leave the drive shafts in and everything, and just kind of slides up, and you can pull it out this way. I had this out recently just to double check everything, and that's to get the whole thing out. Like I said, I'm going to be swapping this out just to have a fresh one, so the holes aren't all butchered. But usually you wouldn't have to do that. So I'm going to get this swapped out. I do know a lot of people have problems when they take the transmission out to do this. They forget where the gears go. The way I did this one is I just undid like half of the gearbox and put the bearings in, put it on, and then I took the other plastic half off and put it on. And you don't have to take out any gears really. You're just taking off half the box, put it together. There's no guessing, and it was fine. I didn't have any issue. So I'm going to kind of do the same, except that I have to work on this piece. So I'll be taking out part of the shaft, and I'll just show you it too. So if you have any questions, you can look back at it too. But once I get this apart, I'll come back. All right, and in just a few short minutes, transmission's out. I got the 3 pieces ready. There's 4 bearings that it comes with, so usually you'd have bushings in here. I have all bearings throughout mine, but usually it would be bushings in a stock one if you hadn't done the bearing kit already. But they do come with the 4 bearings for in here. This is the motor cover, nose, or whatever you call it. So that one's an easy one. That just flops over There's 2 bolts this way, and then right here, and then there's 2 bolts here and here. Once that's out, we're going to take out this gear. It just swaps right over to here. We're going to take it out anyways, but just so you know where it goes as you're taking this apart. You'll be taking out the motor bolts. I have the Fat Viper conversion. So that's the stock plastic one. And this one. On the rock fan, I had to actually make these slots a little bigger because it's like they were not meant for the size. I guess they're 2.5 mil bolts, but it's like they're not meant to be 2.5 mil bolts for some reason. Let's just check. I think it's the same. Yeah, see? So I'm just going to egg those out a little bit so I can get these bolts in there easier, and I'll be back. All right, I forgot to show it, but I just took a small file and just made it just so a 2.5 would fit, which I could have sworn the stock motor was a 2.5 bolt, so I don't know why these wouldn't be the size for that. You can only fit a 2 mil bolt through there for some reason. Anyways, 2.5 fits in there, no problem now. You put that peg down in there. Check this. Now, with this compared to the plastic, just this alone, you can feel how much more solid this is. Like, it is so smooth now. I got very little rocking, so this should be perfect for the mesh. It wasn't the rock van. It sounded so much quieter when I put this transmission in because everything was just meshing so much nicer. So this is pretty much good to go. So you could bolt it up to this housing. Just watch out these bearings. It just happened to me. They fit in there, but they're not like super tight. So when you flip it over, it just falls out. So don't worry about that one right now. You can just get this in for the time being. Like that. These 2 bolts here. Then you got these 2 bolts here. See, the other bearing fell out. So I'll put this together. Be right back. All right, got these 2 bolts in, these 2 bolts in. I put the tiniest dab of Loctite on them just to kind of help them stay in. You don't need a lot. This doesn't move around much. I just wanted to, metal on metal, keep it from falling out. This is very smooth now. There's very little play. So should be good to go. Put that bearing back in. Put that bearing back in. Now I will say, if you own a hobbyplus truck, you should know this by now. They're not known for the tightest gearboxes and whatnot. They have a lot of back and forth play when you go from forward to reverse, forward to reverse. There's a lot of play there. These do come with shims. Comes with 3. I did it in the rock van, and I mean, yeah, it takes up some of the space, but it does not take up much. This was from when I had the motor mounting on the plastic. I used it to because see how old I make them. Not that's me. Don't worry about that. But like I said, it helped, but nothing crazy. So I would just put 1 on each shaft, and then if you have like the extra one, whatever one has more play, like this is stock. I mean, that's got to be like 2 millimeters at least, and that's the intermediate, and then the output stock about the same amount, like 2 millimeters. This one's the shifter, so you can't really go by that. That's got to go back and forth. So you'll see on this one, as well as the on this one, this mount here, this has nothing to do with the Arktos. Nope, and then there goes a bearing again. So watch out. That's nothing to do with the Arktos. On the rock van and on the other CR18P trucks, this is part of the mount for the shifter. It kind of goes towards the frame, and I think it attaches to the frame or the shifter part. I don't remember, but the rock van did have it, but it's just one. So that's not necessary on here. You just need to work around it when you put it into the frame. But yeah, let's find that bearing before. There we go. I should just put a dab of Loctite on those to help keep them, but I just haven't done it. But anyways, to get this transmission apart, you're going to have these 3 bolts here. And that's going to replace 1, 2, and 3. And I think they're honestly the same, if I remember correctly. But they give you new ones, so might as well just toss the new ones in. Yeah, they're pretty much the same. But I've just been throwing all the new bolts in. When you take this last bolt apart, though, it's when you're going to want to be careful. Because this is where I think a lot of people have issues. They take it apart and don't look what they're doing. And then they can't figure out where the gears go. And if I remember correctly, also on the Arktos and the rock van instructions, it gives you a breakdown. But it's not like this gear goes here, this gear goes here, this gear goes here. It's just a bunch of gears, and I don't think it even lines up correctly. So what I did on the rock van, because I wasn't changing anything, I just pushed down on these 3 and kind of wiggled it. And this one doesn't want to stay down, so I'll push that down. And then I popped it up. And see, I already had the bearing kit in. So technically you could just take this, and if, like I said, if you're not, and make sure this stays down, this gear is what's going to go onto here when you finally put it together. You would just take this and just sandwich it on, but you know, I have the bearings, but, and you just work it down in, and like that one you just got to watch out for, because like I said, that's for the, it's going to be all over the place because you don't have that shaft in there. So then you have this in, and then if you want them to do this side, wiggle this side off, this side, my bearings are in there, you'd have your bearings on this one, and then just pop this on, and then your whole transmission's back together, and you didn't have to do any gear taking apart, you know, and then figure out where they go or anything. I'm going to be taking this apart, so like I said, if there was anyone else, just pop that in, and your gears aren't out, and you didn't lose any space. So from what I found when I took this apart before, is in this one, there's the shifter, kind of goes in like this. You got the 2 gears. One has a pin right there. This one does not, because this is the one that locks into this one. You take this off. This has a shim, so just try to remember that. Keep it on there with the grease, so you can see where the dogs would go. And then this comes off, and then that's where the dogs go again. Keep that flat. And then this is your section here. So there's actually a C-clip that holds this onto the shaft, and this comes off. From what I was seeing, if you look here, you might not even be able to see it in the video, but they're rounded over. All of it this way. This way is rounded, this way is rounded, this way is rounded. And then the other side's flatter. And then this one's not as rounded. Oh boy. Should have got that earlier. Now this 240369 is the replacement one. And these are much straighter. Like they're 90 degrees every time. And I'm hoping this is going to fix my problem, because I don't see any bad gears in any of these. I looked over this before, and I don't see any bad teeth. They're not rounded over, because it's not the teeth that actually move. It's the shifter moves back and forth. So I believe this is going to be it. Yeah, I'll swap this out. You know, I don't believe this is an issue at all. So usually get something pointy. Let me try the pliers. There we go. Okay, got the pliers to work. Just don't make this go flying, because if you don't have extra pieces, this isn't going back together. All right, that took a minute, but I got that. That, I'm pretty sure, is perfect, but we'll swap it out because I got a new one. Doesn't seem like there's any direction on it, as far as I can tell. Hopefully not, because it's going on. And put that back on, and I usually use pliers to push it. There we go. We're back together. Then just take the dog. Again, I don't think there's any direction. It goes right over this hex area, right into there. Put it on. Put this one on. Make sure you got that. Of course, I don't know why I had that on there when I did it. Put that on there. And then this piece is rebuilt. The only thing is, I just realized I forgot that I bought new shafts. So I'm going to swap that back out with the 2 shafts that are new, and I'll be back. All right. New shaft for the dog bone, whatever you want to call it. Although, like I said, I don't believe there was anything wrong with it. So it was just, you could tell the wear on it, but that's about it. But I'll keep that as a spare. This was the original 2-speed one. You can definitely see some wear on it, but nothing too bad. And this is the 2-speed one with the hex. So this, just make sure you have the 3-way pointed inwards. You have the dog back and forth on the hex. Make sure that goes back on. It's got that little shim there. This side, this one is fixed with a pin, and this one is freewheeling except for when that dog is over. So this you need to make sure there. So I was hoping I could put a thicker pin in there to get rid of this play, because all of this is what makes it have so much play in the transmission, because every single shaft is like that. Yeah, I put a new pin in there that I had extra of, and it's the same amount of slop. There's just, those pins are just way too small for what it is, but the problem is that it just compounds, because this has a pin, that has a pin, that, you know, so that's why there's so much slop in these transmissions. I've seen people actually take all this off. Take this, yeah, they take this off, they'll put some epoxy in here, and they'll push this on, and then let the epoxy dry, and so this slop is gone that you have here. But I don't. This is all covered in grease, and I don't want to. I've been fine with it as long as I'm moving forward or going reverse. I've never had an issue, so I've just learned to deal with it. So I'll just leave it how it is right now. This goes here, but let me get that bearing on there. You need to put this on at the same time to put it in, and then you can put this into here like that. You can't have it the other direction, because this will be wrong. Like you'd be off by, like the dog, shifter will be way over here, so you have to have it here. It looks loose as a goose right now, but that's just because it's the other half's not on. So there's that. It did come with a new pin for this one. Again, not necessary, but I'll just swap it out anyways, just because I have it. I'm pretty much going to have half a transmission extra here when I'm done. This piece is, I think, the other part that people have problems with when they take it apart. I've never really taken this one apart too much. I've just pulled it out to look and done the bearings, and that's it. But this piece will go right here. This one slides. There's no pin on it. This one goes into here, into this area. Let's take it apart as it is. This one again doesn't have a pin. Yeah, it's just a floater. And then this one does have a pin and a bearing right here on the outside. I don't think this shaft has any issue either, but I got a new one, so I'll just use it anyways. So pin goes over. You got that idler one or whatever it is. Honestly, I don't know why it's there. This goes here, and this one's going to go here. And then bearing. All right, and then there you go. This one's going to go onto there. You're going to kind of have to put these in at the same time because of how they sit. Or you could take the bearing out and pop the gears on. And then this side has, that one's already got a bearing. And there's a bearing there. And then that's one of my originals, I believe. Actually, this is probably one of the originals. I'm just going to throw all the new stuff in. Even though it's all good. Got that. And then I usually just kind of spin the motor. You can see everything working, everything moving. And then there's, now that I've taken this all apart, there's enough grease in there and it should be fine, but I always like to have a little extra. So I'm just going to throw some in. I use marine grease, just in case things get wet. This one doesn't really go in the water anymore, but you know, just a dab in the center there, really. It doesn't need a ton. And then all you're going to want to do is line this all up. And you're good to go. And then you just, like I said, spin it. You can see they're rotating. If you want, you can pull this over. And you can see they're spinning. Different rate though. And you're good to go. And we're gonna have the same slop pretty much as it was stock. So what I've been doing is with those shims that came in, at least I did on the rock fan, I took this off, bearings off. The top one here had more play than the bottom one, and then I just put, I think those 2 shims and 1 shim there, since that one was moving more. And then you just want to make sure it's not binding up though, so don't want to forget the bearings. I don't think that this is enough shims to even come close to binding up, because there's a good amount of slop. Get that. Hold it with my finger. Yeah, there's still play, but not nearly as much. So this actually feels so far better than that one did. So you need the 3 bolts right there, and we are back together. So just to recap though, too, the 3 short bolts that you got go to here, to this cap, and then the 4 longer ones are for like the motor horn area here. So the 2 here and the 2 here. Oh, and then spin the motor, you got output. Move this over. And we still have it, but it's slower. That's low gear right there. So it feels pretty dang smooth. So I'm gonna clean up some of this stuff, and I'll be back. All right, pretty much cleaned up here. We got this is the new skid. Goes right in there. I'm just gonna, might as well just pop this all together while it's out. I figure. I believe these that came with it are new screws for it. So I think it's 3 of them are for this. And then the 4th one is for that one here, I believe. It's been a minute since I did the rock fan, but I believe that's what it was. You know what? These might not even fit. Oh, no, they do. You need these, because these are the ones that fit in these threads. I think the stock ones were a little bigger, because it's going into plastic. Just a dab of Loctite. Oh yeah, nice and tight. Probably should have put the Loctite on the metal case itself before doing this, and not getting the Loctite on the plastic, because Loctite will leave plastic, but it should be fine. It's not like those are the threads. Definitely don't want it on the threads of it if you're going to screw into plastic. Now we got that all tightened up. That feels so smooth. It feels so good. I'm not going to put the drive shafts on until after I put it in, just to make it easier. But right now I have to take out all those links and everything. So next I'm going to take off link, and then these 4. And then this whole thing will pop out. I can drop the new transmission in, and we should be good to go. So I'll be back. Okay, and all back together. The most annoying part every time for this thing is putting this part in if the rod gets disconnected while you're putting, because I try to take these out together, then I don't have to worry about the rod, which is not hard to do, but in this space, trying to get these phalanges in here is so frustrating. But it can be done. It just takes a minute and frustrating, like I said. My link wasn't, I mean, technically I didn't have to change it. Mine was not too bad, but there's a kink there, and it's been bent a few times. And I figured, while it's apart, it's fine. I'll just swap it out. I got the new skid in, no problem. It dropped right in like it's a stock one. So this is what I'm excited about. I could not do this before, just to try to simulate pressure on it. If I push down on here, see how it's driving and not skipping? It would skip every couple of revolutions. And I'm pretty sure it's because of that sliding dog thing was rounded over. That's in low gear. If I go back to high gear, same thing. And then back to low gear. Good to go. The only thing you have to do, when I put this on I had taken off the horn a few times on the servo for the 2-speed, and the last time I put it on, I didn't put it on exactly straight at 0. So I actually have my endpoint is SWB 43 one way and 60 the other. It's because I wasn't exactly centered. If you look at that, yeah, 43 one way, that's the high speed focus. High speed over there, low speed over here. And that's just because I didn't have the horn centered. So, but compensated fine, no problem. I'm stoked to be able to use this again. Since my couple of videos on doing the brushless and the bed delete and everything. I've also tried to do some different tires and wheels, but I haven't really gotten to try it because that was skipping so bad. I couldn't do it. I put on these Hobby Soul tires, which they are now popping beads, and I haven't even used them. That one popped, and I think one over here is starting to, because it's like kind of like bulging out. But I also put on these Hobby Soul wheels, and I like about these is I can have all 6 the same, but these are the wider offset version. You can change it from like 3 to -5. I can't remember which one it is, but the front, I have it flush, so it can still fit up inside the fender. I don't have to cut anything. These are wider, at least. Let's see here. This is not the best way to do this, but outside to outside-ish, 130. Outside to outside here, 138-ish. Something's a little loose though. Oh, I think just the pins are loose. So it's got to be at least I think it's about a 5. Yeah, there we go. It's got to be about a 5 millimeter each side difference, because it's about 140. Definitely stabilizing on the side hill and everything in the rear. I can't wait to try that. I was going to have them dished like this in the front, but when I originally installed it, this already hits it a little bit as it is, but I don't think it's going to affect it. It was, half out. Like the tire was like way out here, and I didn't want to have to cut all this out. I'm hoping these tires do pretty good. I have the 1/10, type size version. I think it's like a 4.75. Where did they go? Oh, right here. I had another set of these on something else, and they've been good. And I also have a bigger set that I wanted to try on, like I think the Heliumon or something. These are like 5.75 or something. They're huge. So look at that. So anyways, yeah, I'm gonna try this out, see how it goes. I'm sure you guys will see some shorts and some videos, with the newer tires and everything to test them out. But yeah, I'm pretty happy that this is now in action again. If you have any questions about it, it's not too bad. Just take your time, go back in the video, and you can see where the pieces go. I think I tried outlining them pretty well, so you can, look back at it and kind of use it as a reference. The kit for the skid also comes with a new 2-speed servo, but mine was fine. And it also comes with these the hinge. Yeah, it's these hinge pieces for the cab. And then it also comes with the mounts to mount this part to the chassis. So it would be way down in there. Those right there, the tip of my finger. And there's 2 screws this way and this way. And they go right here. And I really don't understand their reasoning for putting things where they do in kits. What would these have to do with the skid and that? But then you don't get these pieces or the bumper mount. Okay. And then also the 2-speed spring that does the lock in and out. This comes with a C-clip that holds the dog lever, so you can switch gears. Why wouldn't that come with the shaft kit? I don't know. Some of their stuff is just so weird that they put it together, and I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know, but I'm glad I didn't have to worry about the transmission gears, because like I said, those have been out of stock for I don't know how long. I've been waiting to try to get another set because I like to have a backup. Plus, I thought these were bad. But anyways, if you have any questions, put them in the comments. Try to answer them best I can. It's not too bad. It's pretty straightforward. That'll be it. Have a good day. One last thing. I forgot to tell you part numbers. This is the gearbox shafts 240306 from hobbyplus. Metal shift and slider. There's the dog piece that was worn on mine. 240369. Skid plate and mounting parts. That's all the plastic pieces like these. 240436. Shifter hardware. I believe that was the metal rod that goes in between. That's 240315. And then this is the hobbyplus aluminum gearbox HBP 240509. I believe most of these have the HBP in the beginning of it too. 240509. Yeah, so, and it just depends on what website you go to. Hobbyplus shows them with the HPP, other places don't, so when you search for it, sometimes just searching the number and not the HPP comes up. So those are the parts I needed. Well, those are the parts I used. Didn't need them all. But, yeah, just for reference, I got them all from, I believe these were from RC Planet, but I usually get stuff from Direct RC. Just at the time, they didn't have, I think, the case in stock, so I got them from RC Planet. But I get most of my stuff usually from Direct RC. Either one, whatever's in stock. Anyways, now it's the end of the video. Have a good day.